Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're so glad that you're here on our channel. Today's video is directly from viewer comments and questions, and it has to do with us going from our 6,000 square foot big house to a 50 square foot storage unit. That's where we are now. Our life is in a 50 square foot storage unit, and we're gonna share about the process it took to get there. I hope that you'll stay tuned for the whole video.
We come out with a new video every Wednesday. Please be sure and give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that little notification bell.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the downsizing, minimizing journey that we took, we're gonna give like 30 seconds about our health. We have been talking for the past few weeks that we've been sick now for 4 straight weeks at the beginning of our nomadic life journey. I got the flu for the second time last week, so we're gonna be sharing all about that in a few weeks when we talk about our March numbers, because I went to the doctor 3 times and had pharmaceutical stuff
and the
a couple
second
times.
flu was actually verified with a flu test. So
yeah, thankfully it's not the whatever. It's not the major virus. We're not even going to say the name of it because we don't want it to be banned by YouTube, but we're on the mend. The meds are working. Hopefully no more coughing.
Yeah, same for me. And I'm excuse me. No, I'm on the other side of this as well.
Doesn't sound like we're perfect.
No.
I'm a little congested, but we're a lot better and hopefully on the mend from here on out. So we're going to be filling you in as that progresses for the next few weeks.
Our 6,000 square foot house. So whenever we first got married, we were looking for a place to live. We found this house that was in the midst of being constructed. It was giant, but it fit our price range. It was a good place in terms of picking the kids up for school, etc. And like I said, it was big, but we thought this is what we need. Everybody had their own bedroom, all the children, we had our own bedroom, and so it was the perfect space.
We thought it was, but when we bought the house and went under contract, the rooms weren't drywalled yet. So it was kind of like framed, I guess. It was just like I don't know if everyone knows what framed means around the world, but the walls weren't up, but all the wood was in. And we couldn't get a scope of how big the house was. And it was we had 3 children, so we had a 4-bedroom house and a big giant basement, and it seemed like it would be a good size. We had, when I met Tim, I used to have 100 people over for parties all the time. I used to have a monthly party at my house, had huge events. So I was used to having a lot of people over, and when we had 3 kids, we wanted all their friends over, we thought we had a dog, we thought it'd be great to have all this space. So day 2 in this big giant house, we were like, oh, this is too much house, because it was.
It was way too much house. Also, it had a nice yard for the dog, by the way.
But we grew into this house. And by the way, all of our story we're talking about today has been shared over the past 2 years on our channel in some fashion. We're just going to put it all together in one video. So here we are in this big giant house. We managed to make this a home and really to enjoy and love our home. But as our kids got older, our poor dog passed away. We didn't need the yard for her. Our kids weren't using the yard as they became older. And then our older 2 flew the nest. So it was only the 2 of us and our daughter. And that was it. And it was a lot of house for 3 people.
I think also we found this movement or this group called the Minimalists. There are 2 guys who are this thing called the Minimalists. And they introduced us to some concepts about just getting rid of stuff and living with less stuff. And through that process, we realized we didn't need 90% of the stuff that we owned, actually.
Even though we could fit it
Even though we could easily fit it into our house, we could have added a lot of additional stuff to our house. Through their introduction to this concept, we realized that we had too much stuff.
And just to back up a little bit, we had 4,000 square feet of living space. We had 2,000 square feet of basement space. Friends used to joke that we could make a bowling alley in our basement. It was so big. And then we had a 3-car garage. But we had a yard. We lived in Colorado, so we had a snowblower because we had a lot of snow. We had lawnmower and all the stuff that goes along with all of that life. So our garage wasn't packed full, but we had all the stuff that you need to, I don't know, like trim lawn and stuff like that.
Take care of the yard. We had a weed whacker and bikes and stuff that, the garage was full as well.
Sporting goods, stuff like that. And we still fit our cars in the garage and stuff like that too. And then in our basement, it wasn't like it was a full basement at 2,000 square feet. Not in the slightest. There was tons and tons of open space, but around the perimeter of our big giant basement were storage shelves, and they were all filled up with stuff.
And at one point, we had 3 cars in our 3-car garage for 2 drivers. So,
but we were given one of the cars for the kids.
nonetheless.
Yeah. So we did have, and then we got rid of the third car pretty soon after that. Yep. When I read the Minimalists book and we started with this minimalism kind of project, was the same time that we came to this early retirement movement, and all of that came together. And when we realized that with our lower spending, we didn't have to work as long if we could get rid of our big house, then as we started downsizing, we didn't need the big house anymore. So it was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, this fire thing and minimalism went hand in hand. And by the way, we've said multiple times, and I'm still going to say, we are not what I think most people would consider minimalist. Certainly in our giant house we weren't. When we moved into our smaller space, we also wouldn't be considered minimalist. Even now with our 5x10 storage space, I don't necessarily consider us minimalist, even though we're traveling around the world with just 2 bags apiece. There's some things
it's hard
about
to say we're not minimalist now. I don't know what your definition is,
okay, well,
but I have like for 10 months. I mean, you have 2 pairs of shoes.
I still
for 10
think I
months.
have more stuff. Think about what we have back in Denver. I think we still have more stuff than we need to have in our life.
Well, we don't need to have anything in our life, I guess, on that. I mean, so I guess if you have anything, then you are not a minimalist.
Maybe,
anything?
I don't know.
Okay, well, Tim is real hardcore on this minimalism definition. So back in 2015, we sold our house. We did this huge giant purge of our stuff, and that was the easy cut is what we figured out. So we got rid of a lot of things. We got rid of a lot of our furniture because we moved into what was our townhouse rental down to 1,800 square feet and a 1-car garage. Now, we were able to get rid of a lot of the yard, all of the yard stuff pretty much, because we didn't have to maintain that. The HOA did that for us.
Most of our furniture, so we only had, we had 2 bedrooms to outfit, and we had 4 bedrooms worth of furniture in our old house. So just a lot of the stuff that we, that you would need to outfit a 6,000 square foot house, we got rid of when we moved into our smaller space.
And that was when we made the, like I said, the easy cuts. I had probably, 50 to 100 cooking magazines I planned to read one day, and I had subscriptions, so they just kept coming month after month after month. I just put them in a pile and just planned to read them. When is I going to read 100 cooking magazines? Got rid of all of them and donated them to the library, stuff like that. So it was really like freeing to get rid of that because it was the stuff that we weren't using and it was just taking up space because we had the space. So back in 2015, we retired early, loving our life in our 1,800 square foot townhome with our daughter. It's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, very neat and tidy on the 2 living floors, but the 3rd basement was pretty full with all the stuff that was in our basement. Not all the stuff, a lot of the stuff that was in our big giant basement kind of moved into our basement that was like a fraction of the space.
Amy said this before, when we made that move from the big house to the townhome, I think we had decision fatigue at the end of that. We were making so many decisions about getting rid of this and getting rid of that. We decided, well, there is enough space in the townhome just to store this in the basement, so we moved things over. Ultimately, that sat in the basement and we didn't touch for 4 years until we made our latest move.
Although our intention was to keep going, as soon as we got there, we were like on a roll. We were like, now we're retired, so we have time to do this. We didn't do it.
No, we didn't.
Not even 10 minutes.
No.
Not even 10 minutes. We're very honest with our audience. Not even 10 minutes. So here we go. We have a couple years in our house and we're using every single inch of the space because it's the 3 of us and it's great. And while the basement is filled with all sorts of very neat and tidy things on shelving units, it is very filled. And the 2 living floors are very kind of sparse, except for our clothing closet. Everything is very neat, very tidy, kind of sparse. If you came into this space, you would think we were minimalists if you didn't see our basement.
Possibly.
And our car fit in our garage, or our closet. It was neat and tidy, but it was filled pretty much to the max. And our 1-car garage fit our car. It was a fairly small garage. So with Tim's tools, the car, the bikes, that was pretty much all of the garage. Yeah.
Yep.
So there we were, 1,800 square foot house and the garage for 4 great years. But back in 2018, we decided that when our youngest child flew the nest, we were ready to stop using a home base and to travel full time. Now, there has been a lot of controversy on our channel about our decision to sell our house. We're not going to get into why we sold our house. It was 100% the best decision for us. We've hit a rocky month here with being sick. We do not regret not having a home, even the teeniest bit. And I'm going to put a video up here, so if you haven't haven't seen this video, why we sold our home, there's the reasons. We don't need to debate that right now.
There you go. No debate.
No debating.
We are definitely happy with our decision. And like Amy said, we have struggled over the past month with our colds and whatnot. So, but no regrets. We are happy to be where we are now.
And I am just going to put in one little thing, because Denver has been getting quite a bit of snow. And even though we've been sick in Berkeley, California, Maui, and back in Oakland, California.
And on a
the
cruise.
weather has been, and on a cruise. The weather, we have been looking for about 75 degrees for the rest of our lives is really ideal. Though we will take 50 degrees to 90 degrees Fahrenheit and be quite happy. We have found our sweet spot of our weather.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, being sick in fabulous weather is a lot better than being sick in 8 inches of snow.
It's never good to be sick.
It's never good to be sick, but we're at least sick in delightful weather.
Bingo.
So we hit that. Yay, we got something right on this first month. So that maybe makes sure that we don't miss Denver, is that it's really nasty back there for winter.
That's exactly right. Something also worthy of mentioning is that, so when we decided in 2018 that we were going to sell our home, we had actually been traveling that summer for 9 weeks. So that entire year we were gone for over 100 days, and also all of 2019 we were gone away from our home for over 100 days.
Way over 100 days.
We have this travel bug big time. And so like Amy said, another video will explain why we're out of our house, but...
We already explained it.
Oh,
we're not doing
the other video.
Yes, we're not doing that video again.
There you
So
go.
so now we decide it's time to sell our home, and we have like a year and a half to do it. Plenty of time, even though we're traveling like 130 days of 2019, that's still plenty of time when we are early retired. We also volunteer an enormous amount when we were back home in Colorado. So it seemed like whenever we were home, we were volunteering. But we kind of got started with the, I'll tell you, the stuff that we got rid of in the first round in 2015 from our big house, that was the easy stuff. That was the stuff that wasn't so painful. Now we knew it was the stuff that was, that's why we didn't do it over the past 4 years, is because it was the stuff that was harder to do. The easy stuff is easy to do. The harder stuff is harder to do. Well, these were hard things, and these were nostalgic things. So we got rid of, in this round, we started getting rid of like a lot of all my business clothes I got rid of. I thought, I don't know, what was I going to be using my business clothes, but I kept all of them, and because I really love them. I think I really identified with having my business suits and those kind of like, I don't know, my New York career days, and it was kind of hard to get rid of those memories and all those clothes, even though I wasn't wearing them. But I got rid of all those, got rid of my wedding dress and stuff like that. We had a lot of games because all this entertaining, we used to have a lot of game nights. It was a great, very cheap way to, potlucks and game nights were kind of our thing. So we had a lot of games, gave all of our games to a friend who found good homes for them, got rid of all my cake decorating supplies, all my craft supplies that I wasn't using. So those cuts we made, some of it was harder than others, but the thing that, it was the real intense nostalgia stuff. So all the photos and the cards and the letters, those were really hard. I got rid of all but 2 yearbooks. So I threw in the garbage 5 yearbooks, and I kept 2 of them. I kept like my senior year yearbook and my last year of middle school yearbook. And there's some chance that in 5 years I dump those 2. It's not like I've looked at these since high school, but it just was a little too hard to dump my memories.
For me, a lot of the stuff I got rid of, it was a weird collection of things that I got rid of in this round. Things like, I think I had 5 generations of digital cameras back to the one that I bought in 2003. So it was obviously garbage, but I got rid of all those. I got rid of a whole variety of electronics. I also got rid of some things that I was attached to that I'd brought along from high school, notes that I'd passed back and forth with classmates, and I looked at
Boy Scout stuff.
And Boy Scout stuff that I had, badges that I had earned,
socks.
Or patches that
you had like
collected.
6 pairs of
I
Boy
had
Scout socks.
Scout uniform stuff. So I gave this
so
stuff
many
away.
Socks.
So many socks. Lots of socks for Scouts. I don't know why. Scarves, all kinds of things.
Cans of soda from the Jamboree.
Yeah, cans of soda from the World Jamboree. So I had a weird collection of things that I've been hanging on to. Also got rid of, I had a coin collection, I had a comic book collection, I had a baseball card collection. I thought I was going to try and sell these things, that they had some intrinsic value. I started the process and then realized they really didn't have a lot of value, so I ended up giving those to my son and gave him permission to sell them or do whatever he felt like he could do with them. And so there was just a weird collection of things in this vein that I subsequently got rid of. So I gave my tools away. Those went to Mr. Money Mustache's headquarters in Longmont, and hopefully they're going to be in a lending library sort of format. So that felt good to actually give them to something
There were a lot of
they're
tools.
going to be used. And so I had a ton of tools that I'd collected over the years.
That was hard to get rid of for you.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to get rid of those tools. So I had
Plus, it
been
was a lot of
collecting
money.
those since I was 18 years old. So yeah, definitely.
And you kept like, so then here's the thing is then you didn't have what you needed one time when you were like,
Yeah, I
so you
needed a
kept like
special
one of
screwdriver or
everything.
something as we're doing something in our house, and so I had to, I made do though. I made it work. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, what we tried to do is to find good homes for everything. So we threw away almost nothing, and we got rid of almost everything. So when Tim says we're not minimalists, that's kind of ridiculous because we got rid of almost everything. And none of it, like almost none of it, ended up in the trash. So Tim found somebody to take his Boy Scout stuff and he gave it away. We did not take a single piece of furniture into our new life, not one piece. Some of it was sold with the house, like the purchaser of the house wanted some of our furniture. That was just part of the sale. We gave a lot of it away and we sold 3 of the smaller pieces that were easy to carry out. So I think we sold like $200 of furniture, so nothing. So we had thousands and thousands of dollars of furniture, got rid of it all for a couple, like $200.
Pennies, yeah.
Yeah, pennies. And so furniture is like a real tough one on this. But then, and what we also realized is like those photos. We would have been better served while we're watching our Netflix shows to be scanning on a photo scanning app our photos and our letters and our personal cards. But by the time we kind of picked up steam and got to this point in the last year, we did not have time for the photos. Friends who are looking at these kind of things themselves did some investigation, and it was very expensive for other companies to do photos. We are very, very frugal, so we decided to keep all of our photos. I threw away the negatives, I threw away the doubles. Back then, you used to develop them. You get the negatives, you get doubles for everything. I got rid of all that extra stuff. But at some point, we're going to go through and hopefully digitize things.
I'm going to say something I learned through this is nothing that you own is as valuable as you think it is. So I guess you
True dat.
could potentially
Holy cow.
find a buyer for anything. And if you spend a lot of time finding that one person who's willing to pay for that item,
And they don't flake.
then certainly it's possible to make that happen. But the time and effort that you have to put into every single item is
And taking
phenomenal.
photos of it and following up with it and maybe shipping it.
So it's just, so what we realized over the course of this is our stuff, it was just easier to give it away or find a good free home for it or give it to Goodwill versus actually trying to sell it. That just didn't seem to be.
We sold quite a bit of it, but really
it was-
cheap.
Yeah, it was.
Really cheap. So we sold things for less than 10%, like things that had great value. So I had a lot of, I'm someone who collected every single small kitchen appliance you could imagine, from my stand mixer and my food processor and my waffle maker and my rice cooker and my bread maker and all of these things. I had everything. And our little townhouse kitchen was too small to keep all of this, so it was down in our basement. That was some of the stuff that was in our basement. Well, I'm not going to go downstairs. I'm just going to chop an onion or chop a tomato. I am not going to go downstairs, get my Cuisinart, bring it up, wash all the different components because there might be a spider on it because it was in the basement, and then wash it all again and put it all down. Forget it. I am just going to chop the onion. Even better, Tim is my sous chef, and he usually chops the onion. No complaining.
I need some goggles. Actually, I do complain about onions. Onions
Anyway.
and shrimp. Anyway.
You're a good guy for the prep. So we cook all the time, and we were able to make do with the appliances that we just kept in our small space. So even though I loved my appliances, we got rid of all of them pretty much, except for my Vitamix. That's the one thing I kept, was my Vitamix. And the reason why is because even though we only use it for smoothies, 99.9% of the time, only smoothies, it is so great. And because it's about $400, I am probably too cheap to ever buy that again. That was purchased back in our wild heyday spending days. So I will never have that again. There is no making a smoothie with anything else once you've had a Vitamix or an equivalent excellent blender.
Yep. So things that I have left back in storage, I have some clothes. I have a computer that was a desktop computer that had 3 monitors attached to it. So I still have all those 3 monitors. This stuff will probably go next year when we spend some time in Denver again. There's really no reason to have those.
We kept a big board of our podcasting mixer and our mics when we do podcasts.
We kept that. We kept a small collection of clothes. I still have some memorabilia, lots of pictures and artwork and things like this.
Lots of artwork. Actually, what we did though, we kept the original artwork. My mom is a fabulous artist, so most of the artwork in our storage is my mom's. I love her art, and the stuff that we could buy, even though some of it I loved, actually, if it wouldn't have been hanging in our home if I didn't love it. But I got rid of all of that too.
We figure that if we ultimately do settle down again and we have to outfit a home with stuff, that our tastes are going to have changed, and so there's going to be enough dynamics that it didn't make sense. We'll just go buy new things whenever that time comes, if it comes, when we're looking to decorate a new place.
Now here is the kind of like the final piece of this. So this past November, I don't know, 3 months ago or so, we go and finally get a storage unit. So we get the smallest one that we could find, which was a 5x5. Now we started putting the things in that we don't really use, like the nostalgic things that we're talking about, the pictures and the grandmother's teacups and the things like that have a lot of emotional value. That's right, sentimental value. So those are the things that went in first. Well, our storage unit was filling up with these things, and what was left in the house were the things that we use every single day. That's what was left in the house. Plus, we had our house staged so that we could sell our house. So the basement was 100% empty, so it was very sparse, but what was left were the things that we were using in the kitchen, the clothes and things that we really enjoyed the most. So we put some of those in our luggage and are taking those on the road, have taken those on the road, I should say. But then we were left with we're out of space, and now the stuff that we use every single day, we don't have room for it. So we made a call.
Yeah, so I've said this before. I thought we could have fit into the 5x5 space if we just did the little Jenga thing.
Are we really going to do this on the video again?
I'm going to confess that I don't believe it would have fit. So I think that we actually needed to go to the 5x10. It wasn't going to be an option.
I'm going to have a coughing fit from laughing.
So I argued with Amy
on camera week after week,
saying that we probably could have made it work. I actually don't think we could have made it work. And regardless, the new space is much better in terms of just functionality. Whenever we show up at the storage space, we wouldn't have to pull everything out of this Jenga puzzle. We can just go see what's going on. So it's a much better option than the 5x5 space that we had.
And also the 5x10 allows the monitors to have their own shelf, so they're not just stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
So the challenge that came with our 2015 move came again with this move at the end of 2019, 2020. This is the decision fatigue. At the end of the move, we have been making decisions. They're hard decisions. They're emotional decisions. There's a lot of other decisions way beyond just what are we putting in our storage unit. We're changing our entire life to become domiciling in Texas and being full-time house sitters. There's a lot happening. So this is one of many, many, many decisions, each thing in our hand. We do not have a lot of time to think about it. We don't have time to find a home for it or to sell it. We don't have time. So our biggest recommendation for anyone looking at this, start now. Start aggressively now. It's worse than you think, and people want your stuff much less than you think.
This is not a project to procrastinate with. That is absolutely, at least we paid the price. Actually, I think
that's why we're sick.
I think that's why we're sick, is basically
this
was
too
so
hard.
Stressful at the end. Our immune systems were just bleh, and we ran into some yuckiness, and here we are 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, we're still sick.
I think our immune systems were so weakened by just the anxiety caused poor sleep, and we didn't get to cook good food because we were so busy with the moving, and we didn't get to go to the gym and exercise. We weren't living a healthy life.
So even if you have 4 or 5 years to get out of your place, start now.
You need it.
Yes.
So there is our long-winded answer of what did we keep. Hopefully we answered your questions. If not, please put them down below. I am getting real good about catching up to our videos.
Oh, I thought about one more thing. I can have tax returns and paper documents, legal documents that are important. So
several boxes of them. You kept boxes of legal documents.
That's right.
Just in case. And maybe in 10 years we'll get rid of those. But
maybe
for the
in 1 year.
meantime,
We'll see.
Well, but let's see. So I'm curious if we're going to go, when we get back, we're going to be back in Denver for 3 weeks in October. And we're going to want to see our friends, and we're doing a house sit, so we're real busy with that. I am betting that we're not going to be looking at our past, delving in.
I think there's some low-hanging fruit there, like my computer, for instance. I think I can go deal with that relatively easily. And
Let's see.
We'll see.
Let's see. Time will tell. So hopefully you'll stay tuned on our journey, because now that we're close to being on the mend, I think things are going to get much more exciting.
Yeah, we'll have some very interesting things to share, and can't
Just
wait to start
regular
putting
life.
them.
I don't think it's
Our
like-
regular life. Also, we have some travel hacking stuff that takes some effort to put together that we owe you, and so we will be doing that in the coming weeks.
Yeah. So with that, we will see you next Wednesday.
Adios.